My dear friends, this very ancient feast has an oriental tone and tint, referred to as that of the illumination. Baptism often would take place on this feast. It is also the feast par excellence of the kingship of Christ. I was struck during Lectio Divina by this passage which jumped out of the page. It's from the prophet Malachi. It's the first chapter and verse 6. A son honours his father, and a servant his master. If then I am the father, where is my honour? And if I am a master, where is my reverence? Remember those words, and I add on this which follows immediately. And if I am a master, where is my reverence? Says the Lord of hosts to you priests who despise my name. Who despise my name. What do I mean by that? There are two particular sins very frequent in the land where we are now living, very displeasing to the Lord of hosts, whose royalty we this day feast, specifically Irish in their frequency, and I would want to attack them head on, precisely because they're concrete and tangible, not abstract, but things we can handle carefully and accurately without any illusion. The first is that we bring down our King to our level by abusing his holy name. Now, to be precise, there are two sins in that realm. The first is directly to bring down the sacred to our level, the use of the holy name, either directly or in a toned down version, which is very common in Ireland, you know what I mean, or anything bringing God or the saints into our normal conversation as a punctuation mark, as a means of underlining a point, as a means of showing our virility, masculinity, and aggressivity, and being like the others. The other is slightly different, but needs to be looked at with great care. It may not directly involve the divine and the sacred, but it may and will probably involve the vulgar, the unpleasant, the rough, and the aggressive. And certain expressions are understood to contravene certain social standards. Therefore, it is less easy to put our finger on them. To put one's finger on it, one needs to go into mode. And I would say that the mode in which we perceive things is the liturgical mode. Our tongue, in a few minutes' time, will be the throne of the Most High. And a priest's tongue is the link between heaven and earth. Hence, the horror that comes to the angels and to the court of heaven itself, when a priest, after coming from the use of his vocal cords and tongue to baptize, to absolve, to pronounce man and wife, to bring down on earth the Lord in the Blessed Sacrament, eventually even to confirm under certain circumstances, to prepare a soul for death and beyond. And then when that person, without batting an eyelid, can use that same vocal cord to bring God or the banal into his daily parlance, How horrid a thing it is, and yet, my friends, sad to say, how frequent and prevalent. Where I was ordained, this sin of taking the holy name and also that of the Madonna in vain was daily fare. And way back in the 1300s and 1400s, there was a certain desire to eradicate this fault. And one of the great preachers on the theme was our own local saint, Bernardino. He would go around not only the area of Siena, but the whole of Italy, and get his point across with this. Now, can you just about see what's on it? It looks like IHS, but it's actually iota, eta, sigma. The first, the second, and the middle and last letters of the sacred name, which the Jesuits have taken as their emblem and which one finds on the sacred host. Now, he left this all over our area and indeed everywhere he went, and it's still on the buildings above the doors in the stone, reminding people that any abuse of this name which makes the demons cringe is a frightful sin. I would like to put it in pictorial form. There is a saying in Latin. It's in two parts. I'm going to write the second part down and I want you to see if you can read it. It's just two simple words. Now, can anyone read this? It's a bit small, maybe the altered voice. Do you want to come nearer? Or can anyone see it from where you are? Come here if you want. What does it say? Scripta manent. Now, scripta are more than one scriptum. A scriptum is a written thing. The scripta are written things. And it's an old saying that things that are written remain. Be always very careful where you leave evidence, your love letters and all the rest of it. But there's a first part to it, and it's not there for this reason. Verba, what are verba? There are more than one verbum, which is a word. Verba volant. Now, does anyone know what volare is? To fly, good lads. Words, that is pronounced, fly. And we say words have wings. The meaning of it actually is this, that words tend to disappear into the air and be forgotten, compared with what remains written. But it's not quite so simple. Words actually don't fly away. Listen to this. We have here the testimony of a bishop who, many years ago, received a visit from an unhappy sinner who had died impenitent a short time before. Now, with regard to that sinner, we don't know what the sin was. But believe you me, to be in a state where one is continually bringing down God to the mud, or bathed in an atmosphere where the demons are happy, using foul language, is not a happy state to die in. We're in bad company. We are similar to the other guy. It's not the best way to spend one's time on earth. Now listen. Addressing the prelate, this damned soul demanded if there were men still on earth. That's a strange question. As the bishop seemed astonished at this question, the lost soul added, "Since I have been in that melancholy abode, I have seen such a prodigious multitude arrive that I am at a loss to conceive that there are men still on earth." Now, that's just to remind us that we can't presume, over-presume, on the mercy of God. Everyone does it, therefore. Why am I saying this? Because every venial sin weakens the system and puts us, as I say, in a bad mode and makes us resistant to grace. We don't get to that sanctity that the Lord wanted for us. Why? Because at least at that point, we're not in a state of submission to the divine will and cannot be in a state of intimacy with Him. It cannot be. So anyone who's using bad language is showing that he's not the intimate friend of the Sacred Heart. Do not be taken in. To avoid hell, it is necessary to avoid the road to it. And all these bits of compromise are opening the door, because it's just one more slip from the venial to the mortal. And to destroy the cause of damnation, that is sin under all its forms, anything at all rather than commit a single sin, even venial. Men permit themselves to be allured to their ruin by different bonds of iniquity, sometimes by one, sometimes by another. Now listen, there are many who die in their sins because they are deprived of the last sacraments. And among those who receive them, there are not a few who are lost because they lack sincerity in the accusation of their sins. Now, I'm getting to that point. People who, as it were, confess in the present tense their sins. Do you see what's that? I have no intention whatsoever of getting out of it. I curse, etc. That's not valid. It's just simply not happening. They come out of that confession with the same sin and even more on them. Here is an incident which we read in the Annals of Purgatory. It was in the year 1640. In the reduction, now that means the Jesuit mission plantation of the Assumption, a woman died who had left a son of about 20 years. This young man beheld his mother appear to him in the most frightful condition. She told him that she was damned for not having made a sincere confession. Now the key word is there, sincere. She'd been to confession. And that many others were damned like her for having concealed their sins in confession. And you, she added, do profit by the example of your unfortunate mother. That's the first sin I want to attack. Every word which we would not own at the moment of opening our mouth to receive the Blessed Sacrament should be excluded from our campus of words. By the way, it's far more interesting on the human level to have a rich vocabulary which has no need to appeal to the vulgar. Use your capacity to be a little bit inventive. It's far more powerful, actually. But the other is this. There is a sin in Ireland which is extremely common amongst pious Catholics. And many go through life without even thinking about it. It's the abuse of substances. I mean those substances that are easily available. We are now burning incense, a link with the frankincense of the kings. But how many, after going to church, or even just before coming in, are burning tobacco? And therefore burning 20-euro notes, as it were, rolled up, harming their interior system, and also creating pain for others around them who might be too polite to conceal the disease. Dis-ease in the sense of not being at ease. Now this, my friends, is something to be looked at. There is that old Jesuit casuistry which asks the permission of the superior, "Father, is it all right if I smoke while I'm praying?" And the answer, of course, is no. And the same one goes again, "Is it all right if I pray while I'm smoking?" Of course it is. But actually it's not possible, because if one is analysing what's going on there, one can't be in the sense of praying with the will, really at prayer, while puffing away at a cigarette. Why? The Lord is not in control of that action. I am. It's my bit. All the rest you can have, this is mine. And how many people are in that rut? Right through their spiritual life, there's one bit never handed over. It's time to conclude, my friends, but not without driving home that nail. The story is told, and unfortunately it's a true story, that during the Spanish Civil War, when they were persecuting Christians, they put against the wall some poor layperson and with a gun pointing at his head said, "Deny your faith or you've had it." And he was taken by a moment of weakness and went along with their wishes. And they, with satanic and macabre and sadistic rage, said, "Now we know that you're going straight to hell, so we're going to shoot you anyway." So they shot him with that word in the air forevermore. Words, my friends, are not just things that have wings. They have a long, long echo, irreversibly long. And a word can get you into hell. I don't know what happened to him, but it's true. We are judged, as the Lord said in chapter 12 of St. Matthew, every idle word will have to answer for it. Every idle word. And every bad word is definitely an idle word. The tongue, and in its airy wagging, as it boasts, it can the weight avoid, at times mistake. For but a vibrant column moves a while, yet it bears rays that turned marred aeons vile, ever and ever. And I just finished with the other bit, smoking, smoking. It's to do with the disease of compromise. There is a word that swallows up a throne in its consented utterance. The throne of the glory that we should have had as a saint. 'Tis too shy itself to name, or e'en its power to own. Yet 'tis the friend of many that aimed high, but found a little cloud called compromise, and there puffed on their glory to the sky.